Hello, hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to your group, your Facebook group this Wednesday night, well, afternoon today, Transformation Through Acquisition-Driven Instruction. And I am your host tonight, Berta Delgadillo, and I know that we have a lot of new people joining us who have joined us in the past 2 weeks. And I just want to take a moment to tell you a little bit about me. That's how I usually start the Facebook Live. I am a Spanish teacher in Savannah, Georgia, and I have created this space so that we can all come together and learn from each other. So I am so grateful to have the opportunity to connect with you. I am so grateful to have the opportunity to bring you professional learning sessions every Wednesday. Every Wednesday, there will be something in here that you can come and learn from if you so wish to do. So I am so glad to see you here. I have been teaching for 7 years, and I am currently teaching 100% online, 100% virtual, and it's been okay. You know, it's been good. I don't have much stressors in that department. I feel like I'm doing great. My students are doing good. However, it's been challenging for me. Those of you who follow me on my email list, you guys know that it's been a little bit challenging for me because I have to juggle the teaching with being there for my son and also making sure that, you know, he's able to do all his work. So juggling that has been definitely a challenge. And I know that I'm not alone, and I know that I'm not the only one dealing with this. So my heart goes out to you if you are in this same situation, because it is tough. However, I am really glad that I'm able to fuel some more of the ideas in the classroom with the sessions that we are bringing here to you each week. So tonight I have with me Mr. Joe Dale, and I'm just so grateful that, you know, we have connected to bring you this presentation tonight, and I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to him so he can tell you a little bit about himself, and he can lead us into this presentation tonight.
Fantastic. Thank you ever so much, Berta, for that lovely introduction. And I'm really delighted to be here as well. I'm delighted to be here. The way that we connected, I saw that on your Facebook group, you were doing different tech presentations, and I thought that I would get in contact, and I was delighted that you gave me the opportunity of doing this and connecting with your group. I've got my two screens running at the moment. So I've got my presentation on one screen. I've got the StreamYard, which is the first time I've ever used StreamYard, my first ever Facebook Live presentation as well, which is very exciting. I'm very experienced with things like Zoom and Google Meet and things like that, but I've never used their Facebook Live before, so it's very exciting as well. So feel free to ask me any questions in the chat. I know Bertha's going to be doing a great hosting job and then putting up different questions if need be on the screen. This presentation is going to run for about an hour. On the first page there, you can see I've got my contact details. So I'm just at Joe Dale on Twitter. If you're not following me already on Twitter and you'd like to, feel free to follow me. My email address is there as well, joe@talk21.com. This presentation is being recorded, and Bertha has kindly said that she will give me the MP4 file afterwards, so I'll be able to put it up on my YouTube channel, which is available at Joe Dale 100. So the idea of this presentation is to give you a bit of context. You'll hear from my accent. I'm from the UK, which is why I suggest that we started at 4 o'clock Eastern time, because it is just after 9 o'clock here in the UK. And I didn't want to really be starting a presentation at 11 o'clock at night. So I'm very grateful to Bertha for that. And I really hope you find this useful. Obviously, we're all in the same position about remote teaching in the UK. All the schools have now gone back as of September, and that's been very interesting to see how people are getting on with face-to-face classes, and it's lovely to see all these positive messages about enjoying being back in the classroom. But my understanding is most teachers in the US at the moment are in a remote teaching context, so I hope this presentation will give you lots of ideas. It's going to give a perspective of what we've been doing in the UK, and I'm going to get going. Here we go. Okay, so this is what we're going to try and cover in the next hour. We're going to do a bit of live demonstration as well as presentation. So there might be some new tools here, I'm hoping. So we're going to start off by looking at Jamboard. We're then going to have a look at the TILT webinar series. So TILT stands for Technology Language Teaching. And as of March, when we went into lockdown, myself and my friend Helen Myers, who is part of the Association for Language Learning, which is the subject association in the UK, to support language teachers, we decided to do a series of webinars, and all of those webinars have been recorded. They're all available on my YouTube channel, and I'll give you a link to access those later. And we've done over 50 webinars since March. So it's been a lot of work. We've had speakers from the UK as well as from the States. We've had people like Heidi Trude and Catherine Usselin and people like that, who I'm sure are well known to you, as well as people from Australia and further afield. So we're then going to have a look at some security features of Zoom, Teams and Meet, some ideas around screencasting, a little bit on Flipgrid. I'm going to show you an idea on Flipgrid which normally goes down well. Quicker conversations, which is probably new to a lot of people for promoting speaking, and then a Google form with example exercise types that you can use, particularly aimed at language teachers, flippity.net, and then Quizizz, particularly looking at how you can make remote listening comprehension activities with Quizizz. So lots to cover, but let's make a start. So the first thing I thought I would do is talk about Jamboard. So if you've not seen Jamboard before, it's a Google tool which allows you to have an interactive whiteboard, which in a remote teaching context works really nicely. So if you have, let's say, Google Meet, or you have Zoom, or whatever it might be, that you're sharing a collaborative whiteboard, so all the students can then do activities on that whiteboard using images and text and animated GIFs. And what I've done is I've put together 3 different Jamboards which have examples of activities you could do with Jamboard which are aimed at language teachers. So top left as well, it says MFL Twitterati Jam. So if you don't know, the MFL Twitterati is a community of language teachers, language consultants and language organizations in the UK and Ireland and further afield. The hashtag is used by people all over the world and has been for many years. And there's 5,000 members of the MFL Twitterers group, which I manage, which anyone can subscribe to, but you can only have up to 5,000 members on a particular Twitter list. So let's have a look at a quick example. So we're going to go on to Jamboard now. And as we all know, you can have up to 20 frames on a Jamboard. So you can see here, the suggestion here is that you could use Jamboard as a way of recording your screen. So you could, for example, use a tool like Screencastify or Loom that Bertha mentioned a moment ago, or Screencast-O-Matic. So you could be doing an activity whereby you add text or images onto the screen and you record the screen to do maybe a grammar cast or to explain some sort of activity, or maybe have an image with some text and then give a voiceover using Screencastify. So what I've done in this particular example is in a yellow sticky note, I've written examples of what you could do on each slide. So on the next one, this is a website called XWords. So xwordsgenerator.de/en if you want the English version. So you could have a starter activity whereby you put in the information like what is the French or Spanish for a particular item of vocabulary, in this case to do with animals. And you then get the children to use the pen tool. So you can see you've got all these sorts of things here. You've got the pen tool, and then you can write in here into the different boxes to answer the question. So that would be another idea. You can also click undo to get rid of your annotation. So a quick starter activity using Crossword Puzzle Maker. If we then go back to here and then go on to the next one, you could also drag and drop Bitmojis. If you're a fan of GIFs, I used the website called gifmaker.me to put together 2 separate GIFs using the Bitmoji Chrome extension, and that allowed me to drag and drop that GIF straight into the Jamboard. So if you wanted to have some sort of activity around a GIF, that would be great. This slide is to do with Breakout Rooms. If you've used Zoom before and you want to know about Breakout Rooms, there's a really nice video here by an educator called Russell Stannard, who has done many videos online. If you do a search for teacher training videos, you'll find all his content, or Russell Stannard, and he's done many video tutorials around web tools that you can use, particularly focusing on languages. He's an English educator, and all the ideas are replicable. You've then got classic idea of putting a photo in the middle of the Jamboard. I use a website called Photos for Class, which is royalty-free images, and then you put the questions either side, which could be done by the teacher or by the student. I'm not going through every single one, but I just want to give you a little idea. Snipping Tool, if you haven't used the Snipping Tool before, it's wonderful. So it comes with Windows. You can just launch it and then drag over any part of the screen and take a screenshot of it. Really, really useful. So you could, for example, have a PDF and you could take a screenshot of the text in that PDF and put it into Jamboard and make it interactive. Talking of this, if you have Google Classroom, you could set up Jamboard so it appears automatically in each assignment for a student. So each student gets their own Jamboard to work on. Or you could create it so that everyone was collaborating on the same one. This one is using the little stickers that you get with the app version of Jamboard. So I think something that's very important at the start of the lesson, see how the students are feeling, get them to drag their name either at the top or the bottom or in halfway down on the arrow to show how they're feeling. So the idea of this one is all about to see how they're feeling before you start the lesson. And there we are. So that's a few ideas around Jamboard, but there's 60 ideas which I've shared with everyone, and you're going to get the whole presentation of this on the last slide. So you can just click on that and then work out how to apply that to your own subject area. So that's that one. Any questions at all about Jamboard before we carry on, or is that clear on how it works?
No, we don't have any questions at the moment. We have Zamia, who is saying that she looks forward for the recap. So
okay, cool, excellent. So it sounds like this Facebook user has seen me before, so that's lovely. So that's great. Keep the comments coming, everyone. I wanted to say that the iOS and the Android app are slightly different from the website. The website was recently updated, so you can now have a draggable text box, whereas before you could only have a sticky note that was always square. Whereas they've changed that slightly now. But with the app version, you've got a few other things such as the assistive drawing tools. So, for example, if you tap on the assistive drawing tools within the app, you can do things like click on the A icon here, and that allows you to write text with your finger, and then it will then turn into editable text, which is very nice. Or if you click on the pen tool, that uses what's called auto draw by Google. So you can draw a picture, for example, of a cat's face. If you remember on the first slide, I showed you a picture of a cat's face. You can draw a picture of a cat's face, and then it will then automatically suggest a professional looking piece of clip art that you can then click on, and it will turn your hand drawing into a piece of clip art instead. So that's really nice as well. So I'd encourage you to have a look at the differences between the app version and the website version. So I mentioned the Tilt webinars that we started as of March. So the first presentation that we did was one that I did, and that was because I put together a Google Doc, which is available at the big long link there at the top, is.gd/Tilt Thursday or Thurs Joe Dale. So you have to, it is case sensitive, you have to put the capital letters in. But essentially that gives you a link to a 40-page Google Doc, which I put together from March onwards to help language teachers from the UK and from further afield. And it gives you lots and lots of ideas around how to support language teachers during teaching in a remote context. So you'll see, for example, that you've got different headings such as getting started, world language teachers, share ideas on remote learning, video conferencing tools, etc. So everything that's there will be useful. I'll just give you a quick flavor. If I click on the link here, it'll take us straight to the doc, and you can see, as I said, it's 40 pages long, and it just goes on and on and on. And as I said, I started doing this in March, and I just kept adding to it. So originally I think it was 18 pages, and I just kept adding to it and adding to it, and it just gives you sort of background articles, and then lots and lots of tutorials and guides on how to get to, how to make your lessons work as well as possible in a remote teaching context. So again, you should find that very useful, I think. Let's carry on to the next bit. Right, as part of that document, I came across a quote or an article by the head teacher at a international school in Rome called David Tong. And this really resonated with me, and you can see on the screen. I won't read the whole thing out. You can read that for yourself. But essentially, what he's saying is he's suggesting that one of the silver linings of this whole situation, even though it's obviously horrible, and I'm sure we'd all like to be back in front of a class and not actually having to learn all these new tools, but a silver lining could be those people who were always reluctant on the use of technology. maybe by being forced to use it will change their mindset as a result of that, and then maybe be more willing to use technology in the future because they've had this situation whereby they've been forced to use it, and then they can see the power of using tools such as Flipgrid or Jamboard or Wakelet or whatever it might be. So I thought that was a really interesting idea, and that's why I've included it in there. That was back in March, but I still think that's true. And just in relation to that, talking of the MFL Twitterati I was just talking about, this is an example of a screenshot of a little discussion that was happening in April of this year, whereby Francisco has written, as you can see, would we see a boom in the use of tech in education after lockdown? Would schools use it as a tool to close the gap, for example, online intervention sessions, recorded catch-up lessons, etc.? So then Adam is talking about the fact that, you know, he would definitely use it to supplement. He would prefer to be in the face-to-face classroom, but he can see the value of using different tech tools, and he won't feel as scared about the use of tech tools in the future, which I just thought was fantastic. And I think those sorts of conversations, I'm sure they're happening in the States as well. They're happening all the time as part of the MFL Twitterati community, and it's just really interesting, I think, to see the sort of the change in mindset, as I was referring to during this time.
I have to agree with that, but I would say that, I mean, it is my perception that most world language teachers here in the United States are very open to using tools like Twitter, not Twitter, I'm sorry. Well, they use Twitter for professional learning, but Flipgrid and just a ton of other tools also. However, I know that there are some who might not be as open, and like you said, because of this transition, they're gonna find a way to use it. Like, for example, I love using Go Formative, and it's one that I actually learned a couple of months ago, around March. And I have a friend who is a math teacher. She's a math teacher, and she doesn't like to do any technology. But because of this transition, I told her about Go Formative, and her reaction was, she called me and she said, where has this tool been all my life? I am going to use this when I go back to the classroom, because I don't understand why I wasn't open to this and why I wasn't using it. She said, I'm definitely going to use this, continue to use this even back in the classroom. And for me, I've always been a teacher who's just been an avid, I like to learn and try. And if it doesn't work, I don't use it anymore. Or if I'm not seeing it, it's giving me the results I need, or if it's too difficult, I don't use it anymore. But I'm willing to give everything a try at least once. And I think that even though I always try to stay on top of the tech tools, I have learned so many I didn't know about in the last couple of months. And I'm really excited to, go back to the classroom whenever that happens. And obviously, we are still the number one tool, or humanity.
Yeah, of course.
Main ingredient. But the technology and the new technology we have learned over the last months is just such an enhancement.
I couldn't agree more. And I think that there are lots of teachers out there, or the sorts of teachers who are readily sharing ideas on Twitter. I've not found it as difficult, I think, compared to those people who've always really shunned technology and not interested in technology. But I think putting together those Tilt webinars that I mentioned a moment ago, and the fact we've got over 50 now, I particularly sort of pinpointed good people to ask to present about different tools, which I thought either people would definitely need to start off with, e.g. sort of like a Microsoft environment or then a Google environment, and then lots of other ideas around sort of creative tools and formative assessment tools like Go Formative, like liveworksheets.com and websites like that. So we had, like a coherent plan to support teachers who then, if they're interested, they could then go ahead and learn about these tools and try them out in the classroom. Absolutely. I think it's been a huge learning curve for lots of people, but it's also been lovely to be part of that community, I think, and help people at the same time. Lovely. Thank you ever so much for those insights there. That's great. So referring particularly to the Tilt webinars, so if you go to the Association for Language Learning London branch, you will find lots of information about the Tilt webinars. Just recently, my friend Helen has put together a database which you can access here. Don't forget, you're getting all of these links in the presentation. So in this database, what Helen has done is she's literally put together all the different elements of the different webinars that have been covered. She's done a write-up. I mean, it's a huge amount of work. And this should be a real treasure trove for lots and lots of people. Being able to access that, look through it, watch the recordings. All the recordings, as I've said, are available on my YouTube channel. So if I show you here, this is my YouTube channel. So not only does it have the Tilt webinars there, it also has lots of other webinars that I've done. As you can see here, we've got Heidi Trude, Catherine Housselin that I mentioned. Lots of people. We've got Mark Connolly as well from the States, who did a fantastic session around audio. Lots and lots of presentations there to help people at this this very difficult time. So now,
just one question about the Tilt webinars. They are when the last ones that they have done, or they're still occurring, and they keep adding to them, or
they're still happening. So I wanted to sort of calm down a little bit. I'm sure you appreciate 50 webinars since March has been very full on. So myself and Helen have done all this work completely for free. We don't make any money out of it at all. We've just done it because it felt the right thing to do to help the community. And so, yeah, we've done the 50. We're going to carry on doing them, but we're just going to relax a little bit now. So we're going to probably do, say, 3 or 4 a month, as opposed to doing sort of 2 a week, which is what we were doing. In fact, over the breaks of April time, we were doing 3 a week in some cases, which is a lot of work. But people were very grateful for that. And so all I'm saying is that the recordings are all there, but we are going to carry on doing them. And I've got a few people from the States again who have said yes, but I won't reveal that yet until well, if people want to come along to the Tilt webinar, because I think it's right that I announced that on the Association of Language Learning website. But we've got a few people from the States who said yes, who are going to be doing further webinars for us. So yeah,
these collaborations are so important because you mentioned that a lot of the teachers in your area are already face to face. So we are eventually going to get there. So the teachers in your area, even though it's a very different scenario in so many ways, however, going back to the classroom is going back to the classroom, and they are going to have a way to share with teachers who are not there yet, how they have handled going back to the classroom. So I think it's great if the people who are watching us tonight, the audience, if they want to check out the Tilt webinars, I think it's a great place. We might find some insights on what going back to the classroom feels like. Yeah,
definitely. And deliberately on that point, I asked a few people to present about how do you plan for September? How do you plan for either a face-to-face situation, or if people are going into local lockdowns, how do you do like a blended approach? And that's all been, it's been fascinating. So there's so much information there that people will find useful. If it's okay, I'm just going to carry on. I'm going to talk about a particular sort of like little advert, I suppose, for the Tilt webinars that I made as a result of being part of the Bitmoji Craze for Educators Facebook group, which I'm sure lots of people know about. I saw the other day that it has over 415,000 members now, which is just insane. So I joined it quite early on, and I was really inspired by the people who are making these iMovie tutorials using the trailer option within iMovie. And I thought I would have a go at making my own. So here we are. It's only a minute long, but it just gives you an impression of the context of where we were in March. So hopefully you'll enjoy this. Here we go. And there we are. That was really easy to put together. If you have the iMovie app on an iPad, you could do it on an iPhone as well, actually. And you just basically take the Bitmoji images and then you just use their templates. And they have a variety of different trailer templates And I think that one's called Superheroes, if I remember correctly. And you just choose the one that you want, and you just order the timings and all that sort of thing as a result of that. So it's pretty cool, I think, to say the least. As another example of how the MFL Twitterati have come together, as a result of the webinars, I think, a language teacher called Esmeralda Salgado, or Botanes Salgado on Twitter, who is the head of languages at King Ely School in Cambridgeshire. She put together a Padlet, or she started a Padlet, and she encouraged people from around the world, but particularly from the UK, to add different ideas around the things they learned in the Tilt webinars, as well as other places. So you've got, for example, lots of ideas of escape rooms. I don't know if that's something that you have discussed in your group, but certainly there's been a lot of interest around escape rooms amongst UK language teachers using websites like Genially or Google Forms, Google Sites, Bitmoji classrooms, virtual visits, things like that. And so again, I've got the link there for everybody to have a look if they're interested in getting creative or more creative with technology and languages. Another thing I did right sort of early on, sort of March, April time, when people were first using, in lots of cases, tools like Zoom and Teams and Meet, was I contacted language teachers who were experts on the use of these different video conferencing tools. I gave them all a Google form with questions in, all the same questions. I then asked them all to fill in the questions, and then I double checked, quality assessed all the answers with them as well, with other experts in their field. So as you can see, you've got questions such as, can attendees join a session before the teacher? Can the teacher enable a waiting room? Can the teacher automatically mute attendees' audio upon entry into a session, etc., etc., etc.? And there's actually 2 pages worth here, as you can see. And that should be really, really useful. Now, I know with Google Meet and with Teams that they're adding new features all the time. There's going to be apparently breakout rooms with Google Meet and what have you. But at the time, this is up to date with what you could or you couldn't do with different tools. So again, I think you should find that really, really useful if you're not used to using these video conferencing tools. If you're allowed to do live lessons, I don't know in the States how much you're allowed to do live lessons. That's certainly been a big debate in the UK. Some state schools in particular ban live lessons because for safeguarding reasons. In other words, the fact that the teacher can see inside the children's homes and vice versa. And there are lots of schools who aren't happy about that. And also in more impoverished backgrounds, you might have, for example, the parents having like the one laptop in the house and the other children don't have access to that. So then how can they do live lessons? So there's been a big debate between asynchronous and synchronous lessons, which has also been fascinating, I think, as well to see. In relation to that, asynchronous lessons, lots of teachers have been learning how to do screencasting. So again, we've talked about some of these tools already. Loom, Screencastify, Screencast-O-Matic. There was an article in the Times Educational Supplement, the TESS, in March, talking about the opinion of this person, Kai Vacha, 4 reasons pre-recorded lessons are your best option. I can see the point around safeguarding, what have you, but I still think the idea of having like a meet-up at the beginning and a live session is really good. Then maybe setting a task and then maybe having some sort of interactive activity at the end in order to connect with the students and to make sure that, they've understood the learning outcomes that you're trying to achieve. I also wrote an article around the use of screencasting on the Facebook group Modern Languages Teachers Lounge, which is organized by Linguiscope, and you can get access to that link there at the bottom. So all the links I'm referring to are at the bottom of each slide, so you should find that very handy. And here's a couple of comments from people on Twitter about using screencasting. So you see there, we've got Mazigan talking about using Loom to walk students through a sample answer, saves time in class, promotes autonomous learning, sense making, and allows for a flipped classroom. Cannot recommend this tool enough. And then what I particularly like about this is underneath it has a tweet from Loom or a reply from Loom saying, love this, so glad we can be useful for your class. And then likewise, we have this sort of like conversation that you see all the time. Ms. Grice, MFL, used Loom for the first time yesterday, thanks for the tip, and was surprised how easy it was to use. Definitely recommend it for anyone teaching from home. How does this compare to Screencast-O-Matic? I've been using that one so far. I can't compare because I've only used Loom, but it's so simple. The kids really like it, etc., etc., etc. So that sort of like helping each other out all the time has been great. Yeah, Bertha.
My favorite one is Loom. I have used Screencast-O-Matic, I have used Screencastify, and I've used Loom, and I just I love how easy Loom is. Maybe Screencast-O-Matic has some features that Loom doesn't have, but you cannot be free. And Loom did make an announcement sometime in April, or no, actually March, that they were going to make their website free for teachers and students forever.
Yeah,
that is right. A very strong statement. So I'm going to support Loom.
No, I think Loom's fantastic, and that the link to the Loom Pro version, which, as you say, is free for educators, that's as part of that big document which I shared earlier. But what I like about Screencastify is the fact that you can record up to 5 minutes. I know it's unlimited with Loom, but you can record up to 5 minutes, and you get the pen tool as part of the free package. Whereas if you want the pen tool with Loom, you have to then upgrade to the Pro account, which you can do for free, but it takes a few days to get that account. But once you've got that account, then yes, you can do lots of things with Loom. And there's also an iOS app with Loom as well, which syncs with your account, which is very nice. So you can do a screencast on your iPad and then access it via the account using the Chrome extension, which is great, I think. But also, I think just lots of teachers didn't realize they could just, narrate audio in a PowerPoint. And so there were other teachers on, say, Facebook and other places who were then saying, oh, yeah, it's very easy. Just record your audio with your PowerPoint. You turn it into a video. It's simple. And I think that really opened people's eyes to what you could do as well, particularly the more reluctant ones for using technology. But I agree with you. Loom is very nice.
I see so much potential in Loom going back to the classroom. When I go back to the classroom, I can send an email, not the one that is typed, but I can screencast, myself and tell a parent some news, and
yep.
Instead of typing a long email, I can just, show up through that video. And then also I can use it to create videos for my, higher achievers and actually differentiate instruction for them. So if they're done faster than the others, and I have an assignment on a QR code through a Loom video, and there you have it. It's
Mm-hmm. I couldn't agree more. But I also think that with Flipgrid, which we're going to have a look at later, the fact you can now do screencasting within Flipgrid is also really nice in the way that it's all kept within your private group as well. So that's another thing which we can have a look at
they definitely did an amazing job over the summer.
Amazing. In fact, talking of Flipgrid, here we are. So I'm sure you all know Flipgrid, but I'm going to show you something which hopefully you've not seen before or make you think about how you can use Flipgrid. So this is Jane Bastner on the left-hand side, who's a big fan of Flipgrid. She's the head of languages at Downhouse School in Wiltshire in the UK, so in the south of England. And in this example, she's got the image up on her screen. I think officially it's called a sticker, if I remember correctly. And she's annotating over the top. She's talking about how to form the simple future in French. So you can see her face, you can see the image, and you can see her annotations, and it can all be saved as a Flipgrid short, which is, again, she's a big fan of as well. On the right-hand side, you've got her explaining a grammar point. In this case, how to form the perfect tense using être in French. And again, she's got her voiceover. She's annotating on an image which she's used, which looks like it's been made in PowerPoint. And then you've got a teacher here called Sam Carey. I don't know if you know him from the States, who's done loads and loads of videos around remote teaching ideas. And this one is all about Flipgrid, as you can see. But I would really encourage you to have a look at his content. So it's from the new EdTech Classroom is the YouTube channel. It's fantastic. And then you've got Jess on the right-hand side there, bottom right, just talking through different ways in which you can use Flipgrid. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually show you something live using Flipgrid and Google Earth. So this is just here, and there's a little screenshot I've got of a school in April that were talking about the fact, some really lovely videos from year 9. So that would be like 14-year-olds this morning on Flipgrid. It even got a subjunctive. Such community of confidence. We may not be face-to-face, but Zoom, Flipgrid, and Hangouts are our next best things, which I thought was lovely. And then you've got the screen recording option here. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually come out of here right now, and I'm going to go to Flipgrid, which is here, and just log in like that. It's just waiting. I have noticed actually Flipgrid occasionally. It's sort of, just give me a second. Maybe I won't do this live. I'll just try one more time. Or let me go to a new tab and let's see if I can bring it up. When I was demoing this beforehand, it was fine. Let's just see if it works. Okay. Let's see if it works now. Educator login. Okay, perfect. Right, so what I'm going to do is just click add a topic like that, and we'll just call it Bertha Delgado FB group. Okay, and then example. You have to put a description in, don't you? I think.
Mm-hmm.
For the recording time, I'm just going to change that. I'm just going to record for 10. I'm not going to record for 10 minutes. I've just put 10 minutes here. And then that's all fine. Make it public like that. And that's all fine. And then click create topic and then click all set. Right. So now I'm going to click on the record a response. And I'm just going to change my camera, which I wasn't expecting that. Hang on. There we are. Right. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Google Earth like this. Is that going to work? Oh, hang on. I've got a wireless keyboard that occasionally doesn't behave as the way it wants to, but that's the great thing about doing things live. You never know if it's going to go wrong. It's all good now.
No one understands it's us. So.
It's fine. It's all good. Right. So I'm going to launch Google Earth. There we are. There we are. That's what I wanted. And then we'll get rid of that one. Right. So it's going to load up now. And while it's doing that, I'll just explain the idea. So I'm going to share my screen, which I think I should be able to do. Let's just try it anyway. While I'm sharing already in StreamYard. So here we are. We've got the Earth here like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I click here, I can go on the options option. And I'm going to click record screen. Start recording screen, Chrome tab, and I'm going to select Google Earth and click share. Right. So what I'm going to do now, I could just click on the search option and put in a particular place I want to go to, but why not click here where it says I'm feeling lucky? So if I click on here, I'm going to go anywhere in the world. Okay, so I'm going to go to, I've got no idea where I'm going, but apparently I'm going here. I'm not even sure exactly where that is, but anyway. And so I could then ask in the target language, what can we see? Are we in the countryside? Are we in the town? What items can we see? So this seems to be some sort of like hill or mountain. We can see lots of streets. It's obviously an urban place. We can see, I didn't choose to go to a Spanish place, but you can see you've got different Spanish words there. And then what I can do is I can drag the peg man here to where the little marker is, and I can go straight into Street View. So as a result of that, okay, I can then say, okay, so where are we? What can you see? There's a man there. Where's he been? What's he going to do? What's he thinking about? Okay, so from a cultural point of view, we can ask lots of questions in the target language and get lots of interesting answers. You know, what's the weather like? Is this what sort of building is this? You know, what can we see here, etc. And then we can then click on I'm feeling lucky, and we can go somewhere else. So now we're going to France. There we are. So we've been to a Spanish-speaking place, and now we're going to France, and we could do the same thing. So this time, see, that's completely different, isn't it? We're not in a town situation. I bet we can't have Street View here. Let's just try. I'd be very surprised. Let's just try. Is it going to work? Oh, it's going to work. Crikey. Okay, so now again, wow, perfect. Okay, so I got no idea why we've gone here. It's just so again, you could say, okay, what have they just been doing? How's that person feeling here? What's the weather like? Where are they? And do all of that in the target language, but be recording at the same time using screen recording. And then I can go back to Flipgrid, click stop recording. What I'm going to do now, I could just click on the search option and put in a particular place I want to go to. Okay. But why not click here where it says, there we are, just pause that. I can click next, take a selfie, next. It's going to upload, and then away you go. So if you've not seen that in Flipgrid before, sharing the screen, why not do sort of like a web quest using Google Earth as a way of using Flipgrid in that way? I just thought I wanted to share that with everyone because it might be something that you've not thought about before or realised that you can screen share with Flipgrid in this way.
used the newest updates, but I hadn't thought about using, I knew they had a new screen share. However, I was like, why would I do a screen share? But now you've given me a reason. So
Cool. So there we are. And I could talk all about how to moderate videos in Flipgrid and all that, but we haven't got time now. I just want to give you a flavor of how that would work. So that's Flipgrid. That's my top tip for Flipgrid. And I'm sure you all know that at the start of August, they updated Flipgrid with the new Flipgrid, and you can do loads of more things with the camera and all the rest of it. But
you can add a lot of supporting structures to it when you are filming yourself as a teacher. So it's great.
It's amazing. I can see there's a couple of comments in the chat. So okay, so Joseph wants to use Google Earth. That's great. Diana, I'm not sure. Oh yeah, so it was good. Yeah, that was Google Earth. So it was Google Earth, the web version. Absolutely. So if you've not used it before, check it out. Mm-hmm. Right. So the next slide. This was put together for another presentation I did. I wanted to ask two questions. First of all, how has remote teaching been for the last few weeks? That was the first question. And the second question is, as you can see, another question I've been pondering, how do you ensure interaction with your students when teaching either synchronously or asynchronously, which is a really, really important point around remote teaching. How do you keep the children engaged? And so I asked the community to share some ideas, and that's exactly what they did. And then I took all those ideas and I summarized them in this document here, which again I'm sharing with you, but I just give you a quick flavor of this. So as you can see, I put this together in May of this year, and it gives lots and lots of different ideas. For example, set Kahoot challenges, Gimkit challenges, or BBC bite-sized activities for asynchronous practice, do lots of retrieval practice, short recall quizzes at the beginning, set assignments on more grammatical tasks, etc., etc., etc. So these are all practicing teachers, language teachers, who have shared their experiences of remote teaching. So again, I thought that the US world language educators would find that really, really useful. So that's that slide. Right, I'm now going to go through some of these. So I'm sure you all know Google Forms, but what I've done is I put together this example. I was really inspired by an Australian teacher called Chris Betcher, or Betcher Boy on Twitter, and he put together an example of a Google form which include lots of quiz questions. So I thought that's a really good idea. So I will do a languages version of that. So as you can see here, it's got, what's your surname, what's your first name. I always put that at the top of a form so that when you export the results as a Google Sheet, you can order them alphabetically, so they'll then match your mark book, which is a nice tip, I think. So what I've done here essentially is I've gone through each exercise type that you could use using the particular possibilities, such as a multiple choice or well, you'll see in a moment, but basically the first one is using multiple choice. So I've given instructions on how to set up each question, and you can see here you've got what is past participle of the verb aller in French, and then you just click on the correct radio button. Here you've got 4 possible answers, but as pictures instead of just text. So again, describing how to do that. This one I use the Snipping Tool to take a screenshot of some text. So obviously I've just written example text here, and then having, again, radio button. So you've got the image as the prompt with multiple choice. This one is using images not only as the question, but also as the answer. So again, if you want to have more images that way, that would work really nicely. True or false one for multiple choice. This one is quite cool. So here I've used a website called Online Voice Recorder, which allows you to record audio. Let me just show you how this works. So I go to Online Voice Recorder. I then record my audio like here, like this. Okay, so this is the example of using the Online Voice Recorder to record audio. I really like this website because it just works on all devices. You then stop recording, and then you can then edit the beginning and the end of a recording as you can with Flipgrid, and it saves automatically as an MP3 file as well, like this. So I've just made my recording. As you can see, you've got this sort of the little playhead at the beginning and the end, which you can then move, and then you can click save. You save it. I'm not going to actually save this right now, because normally what I would do is I would then upload that into Google Drive, into a folder. I'd make the folder shareable, so it meant that it could be accessed by anyone either within your domain or anyone with a link. but I'm not, because we're recording this now, I'm not going to show everyone my Google Drive, but that would be the idea. You'd upload the audio, you'd make it a shareable link, and then you could then go back to your Google form, and you could then put it straight into the Google form, which is here. And that's what I've done here. So I've then added the link. So you're basically making audio files for the 4 different options, which again, you can see here, what is the correct pronunciation of answer 1? So the word here, I've written answer 1, but it could be whatever you want to have as pronunciation. And you've got the 4 different links there to give 4 different possibilities, and then you select the correct one. This one is not multiple choice, it's multiple choice grid. So this is like a matching activity whereby you put in the items along the top and then down the side. Having used this a few times, I would recommend if you have terms which are shorter, you have them along the top, and the longer ones you have going down the side, simply because if you have longer ones going along the top, then they don't fit nicely, and I wouldn't have more than 9 as well, which you'll see in a moment in relation to the dialogue. So if you're looking for a matching activity, that's a nice one. This is a reordering words in a sentence. So again, the same principle, multiple choice grid, and you just click in the correct radio button, and then it reshuffles the row order each time you do this automatically because of the way that I've set it up, and the instructions of how to do that are there. This is putting the a dialogue into the correct order. So again, because these are quite long, these sentences or these phrases, that's why I put them down the left-hand side as opposed to put them along the top, because they wouldn't have fitted if I put them along the top, which is why I put the numbers here as opposed to the longer phrases, if that makes sense. And so on and so forth. This one is a drop-down one, whereby you have all the verbs that go with être apart from one, which ironically is être. So you just select that one as the drop-down option. You've got this one, checkboxes, when you've got more than one correct answer for a question. So you've got, which of these verbs is regular in French. You've got 2 of them are regular and 2 of them are irregular. So you have more than one correct answer. This is similar to the one that I did before, but this time you've got the listening comprehension, the audio at the top in the question. So you listen to the audio and then you then tick the boxes which are correct, and the ones which are not correct you leave blank, and so on and so forth. So there's all these different exercise types, and the penultimate one here is using Vocaroo, which I thought was quite a nice idea. I'm sure a lot of you know Vocaroo, but just to show you the idea, you go to vocaroo.com, you record your audio like this. Here's an example of using Vocaroo to record a speaking practice that you then post straight into a Google form. So I then click Save and Share. I click the copy option here. So I've copied that link. I go back to my Google form, and then in the short answer box, I paste in the link, and that means that's sort of speaking practice for the teacher to then mark. So in other words, all the children will record using Vocaroo, which works on all devices, and then in the Google Sheet that the teacher then exports, the teacher has all the links and then can then give it a mark by hand, as it were, as opposed to the form marking it for them. And the last one is a linear scale option, like a student voice one, when they have to say if they strongly agree or disagree with a particular statement, which could be, for example, online learning is a good idea, that sort of thing. So those are a few ideas around Google Forms, and I've given you the 2 links here, the links to the original plus a copy of that form, so you can then use it as you wish. This is an example in Spanish that a teacher who is in a Facebook group I'm part of created as a result of seeing my example. And so you can see here that she's used the multiple choice with images option. She's got the adding a text option using a sentence builder. And that was really lovely to see. So that's an example from a real teacher using Google Forms. Any other questions so far, or are we good to go?
We're good to go. We don't have any questions.
Okay. So next question is, have people heard of Flippity.net? Because I'm a big fan of Flippity.net. If you've not seen it before, it's a free website. You essentially use one of their templates. They have lots of different templates they have access to, and you create a Google Sheet, or you copy the Google Sheet template, you fill it in, and it then generates different types of activities. So this one is using the Flippity randomizer option. So we're big fans of sentence builders, as we call them in the UK, and this is an example of this. If I just show you what I mean, if I click on this link here, you can add all these different items in different columns. I'll show you the example of the Google Sheet in a moment, but if I just click here, what happens is it will spin all the different wheels until it comes up with a phrase. So here you can see it's coming up with, I prefer to go every day. Okay, so yeah, I prefer to go every day, but when it's hot, and then you click again, and then it gives you another phrase to say. So that could be, for example, I want to dance in the town, in the Centre de Loisirs, the amusement centre, but when it's hot, and it carries on. Now, the idea behind this is you have like a list of phrases, and it just constantly generates new language, which you can then use either for translation purposes. So you could do this as a whole class activity, and then the students have to then write the translation in the chat, or you can use it for speaking, which I'm going to show you in a second. But before I do that, I've got a Chrome extension called Helperbird installed, Helperbird. So if I just highlight the text here, let's see if this works. If I right-click the selected items and I click on Helperbird, like that. Oh, that's interesting. That's not come up. Oh, that's okay. So they've changed this recently, right? So you click on Helperbird, Tools, and then you click on Immersive Reader, and then Enable. Let's see if this works now. They've obviously updated it since I last. Oh yeah, perfect. Phew. Right. So now, if I click play, it should read this back to me in French. Let's see if it works.
Ver dancer au centre de Loisirs.
No, it's doing it with an English accent, which is obviously not the idea. What should have happened is it should have recognized it in French, but it's obviously not working right now. Let me just refresh the page, see if that makes a difference. So let's just do that one more time. But the idea is it should recognize it automatically in that language, but for some reason, well, I can see they've updated it. So it might be that there's something I've not enabled. Let me just try one more time. Immersive Reader enable, then click play.
Je veux jouer au billard à la plage, mais s'il pleut.
Right, it's working now. There we are. So in other words, you can generate randomly phrases, and then Helperbird will read it back to you using what's called Immersive Reader, which is a Microsoft tool. So that's the idea there. And then if I go on to the next one, this is an example of what you would do. You'd have like a Google Sheet, and you'd have the different items in the different columns. So it would then take one item from each of the columns to generate a sentence. And then on this one, this is a friend of mine, Mike Elliott, who's the head of languages in a school in the south of England. And he actually used Loom to do this. I'm just going to play this tweet, which should have a video. Yeah, this is a video which he created using Loom. Just going to...
Hi, so this is an idea of how to use...
Just pause that for a second. So what he's doing here is using Flipgrid to record the screen while he's running the Flippity randomizer. So he's practicing speaking and translation. So I'll just give you a flavor of what he does here. Here we go.
A Flippity randomizer within Flipgrid in order to offer students the opportunity to practice pronunciation and simultaneous or spontaneous translation, hopefully in quite an easy and engaging way. So I've created a topic on a Flipgrid that I have for my Year 7 class. I have included some instructions. Okay, so click on this randomizer link. So that's a Flippity randomizer that's been created already. I've asked students to open it in another window. I've already got it open here. Okay, so it's already ready to go. I've then asked students to record their video, but instead of recording their face, I want them to record their screen, which you can do. And then within that, they need to select the randomizer screen. That's the one to record. And then I've set the video for 3 minutes. And what I want them to do in that 3 minutes is to read out whichever randomly generated sentences they have, read them out in French, and then to translate them immediately into English, and to do as many of them as they can in 3 minutes. So I'm going to show you how you would do that. So I'm logged on as a student now. If you click on here to record a response, it's going to give me some options here as to what we can record. So I don't want to record my face. I want to record my screen. Okay, so I'm going to capture my screen. I'm going to click on that. I'm then going to choose an application window. So I'm going to click on that. So this is now. So now I'm going to flip to that, and start doing it. Okay, so mon frère est assez généreux. My brother is quite generous. Ma mère peut être vraiment travailleuse. My mother can be really hardworking. Ma tante est vraiment amusante. My aunt is really funny.
Okay, so hopefully that gives you a flavour of how he's using that. He's asking the children to translate the phrases, but then also practicing their pronunciation as well by screen recording, which I just think is a really nice idea.
Great idea. I think you just gave me an idea with this because we recently did a story in my classroom, and I think I can also use this I had heard of Flippity through Heidi Truth.
Which is amazing.
Hello, Heidi. But yes, I had heard about it, and I have seen, it has so many templates to create all types of things, but I have not seen the specific one. So you just gave me an idea, and he just gave me an idea, because I can use the same sentence builder with target structures from the story we're just doing, and I can put my students into breakout rooms, and they can just kind of do like popcorn translating of target structures we have been acquiring through storytelling, and they can actually test and challenge themselves in small groups using that function. So that's
amazing. That sounds amazing. That sounds fantastic. I can see in the chat people are asking about the resources. I'm going to share the whole presentation with you on the last slide, so don't worry about that. And Joseph's asked about, do students need an account? So they do need an account to use Flipgrid, but it needs to be either a Google account or a Microsoft account. So they can record their screen, etc., but they do need to have an account to do that.
And I want to say one more thing, especially if you're teaching remotely, or 100% virtual, whatever your situation is, and even if you're in the classroom. So Joseph, since you asked this question, please be very patient with your students when they are accessing Flipgrid for the first time. For us, it might seem like a really easy step, but for them, it's a little bit challenging. When I started using Flipgrid with this new set of students right now, and I'm 100% virtual, even though I created 2 short tutorial videos on how to access the account on your cell phone and how to access Flipgrid on your computer, I still had a lot of questions, and I still had to do a lot of troubleshooting. So absolutely use Flipgrid. It is an amazing tool. But remember to be patient with the students and encourage them to try again. You're going to have to tell them, hey, we're going to use this amazing tool, but you have to be patient because, it takes a little while to get it situated. But once they get it going, they get really, really good at it. That's just been my experience.
Yeah, that's a great tip. I think that's true. I think that's very true. This is another example of another Flippity.net exercise. So this one is called Flippity Manipulatives. Whereby you have your Google Sheet, you put in the different items, and if you record a Vocaroo link, you can then add that within the Google Sheet, and it turns it into a player automatically. So the idea of this one is that you play the audio like this. Last week I went to the cinema to watch the latest James Bond film. It was great. Afterwards I went to the restaurant. Okay, and then you then have to obviously drag each part of the different tiles together. So again, any sort of reordering activity would be lovely for this. And I love the way that you can record the audio with Vocaroo and then turn it into a listening comprehension. And with Vocaroo, the audio is deleted after 3 months, but then you could just re-record it and add it back to the Google Sheet and regenerate the activity. And when you share that link with the students, the order of the tiles will be different from everyone. So every time you refresh the page, it will be a different order as well. So that's a nice remote listening comprehension.
I know people haven't asked, but I know I know they will ask later.
Yeah.
So when you create one of these, do you just share the link of the document with the students? How do you know they have completed what you have assigned them?
So yeah, that's a great question. So in that example, what I would say is you'd have to either use some sort of screen recording or get them to take a screenshot and then share their screenshot with you to show they've done the activity.
Okay.
Or maybe fill in a Google form to show they've got the right order, that sort of thing. So in other words, they do the activity there and then, but then they need some sort of evidence. So it could be a screenshot or a Google form or that sort of Google Classroom or whatever it might be to show the evidence that they've completed it. That's what I'd recommend. Okay. I know we're sort of running out of time, but I'm just going to show this one live if that's okay. I have done a video tutorial, but it's better if I show it to you live.
Yes, I have never heard of this one. Okay.
This is amazing. Okay, this is amazing.
I'm looking forward to this one.
Okay, here we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to QWIQR.education, which looks like this. I need to log in quickly. Okay, so let me go there. There we are. Sign in. Okay, so it's free to have an account. You can do all the things I'm showing you for free. The audio is kept for 3 months and then it's deleted. But if you want to keep it forever, then you have to pay like a couple of dollars a month, and that's all for unlimited audio. So which is incredible. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to hang on, let me just click on here. Click here and go to let's just click home. Here we go. Right, so I clicked on the 3 dots, 3 lines here, and I clicked on home. Okay, and then you go down and you click, well, there's 2 ways of doing this. You can either click on print QR code stickers. That will generate a PDF with lots of different QR codes. In fact, let me just show you, I'll show you the whole thing. It'll take a little bit longer, but then you can see the whole thing. So if I click print QR codes and I click generate stickers, what it's going to do is it's going to generate a PDF that will download to Chrome. I'm using the Chrome browser. I'll then click on that link. You'll then see all the QR codes, and the idea is you then scan one of the QR codes, and that will give the option to record your audio. That audio that will then be attached to that individual QR code, and then you print out the you print out the sheet, you cut up the QR codes, and you stick it into the children's books, which works really nice for audio feedback, for individual audio feedback. But in this particular example, I'm going to show you Quicker Conversations, which is really good for remote speaking practice, which I think is particularly useful in everyone's current context. So yeah, can you see now it says download stickers? So I click download stickers. It downloads. There we are. If I click save, here it is now. So this is what it looks like. And if I now just zoom in, so to say this one here, and then using my iPad, I'll launch the camera icon on my iPad. There we are. And I'm just going to scan this QR code like this. Okay. And then I click on the little notification that comes up. And now I don't know if you can see that, but you'll see it better in a moment when I share my screen. But basically, I've got the microphone option. So I tap on the microphone like this. I then have to sign in again like that. Okay, sign in. And then I get the option. That's interesting. It doesn't seem to. Okay, let me just try one more time. Sign in. There we are. Right, so now I've got you probably can't see that. I've got the record button. So if I click record, click allow for the microphone. Right. So now it's recording. I'm recording some audio right now, which is attached to this QR code. Press stop. Okay, so it now uploads onto the servers. The servers are based in the UK or in the EU. And now, that's all good. So now I can tap view your quicker at the bottom. There we are, and we've done it. So now if I scan that QR code, or if anyone scans that QR code on my screen right now, the first one, the one on the left-hand side, you should be able to hear the audio. So if I do this now, like this, if I do this, and I hold this next to the microphone, there we are. And if I press play, let's see if you can hear it. Microphone, right. So now it's recording. I'm recording some audio right now, which is attached to this QR code.
Yes, I can hear it.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the idea. So that's for individual feedback for individual QR codes, but also. So
you will go ahead and I guess you will put the name of the student it's directed to instead of like.
Yeah, you could do. You could do. Obviously, it's going to be in chronological order. So the idea is you print out the sheet with all the QR codes on, having added audio to each individual QR code, and then you cut up the paper for each QR code and you stick it into the children's exercise book. That will be in a face-to-face context. So I thought I'd show you that first, but now I'm going to show you the conversation option, which is also free. So to do that, I go back to the home option, the home screen. This time I'm going to click on create instant feedback. Okay. So now I go down and you can see here it says start a quicker conversation. So it's the purple circle here that you want. So you click on that. You can put a title in here, which is the same as a tag, so you can then easily find your conversations that you've done later. But for now, I'm just going to click on record like this. Here we go. So blah, 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 blah. This is the first part of my conversation. Then I click stop, and as you can see, it's uploading onto the screen, onto the servers. There it is. I can delete the audio. I can then listen back to it. I can also, for free, I can add a photo. I can add some text. I could add a web link. So I could, in other words, I could sort of set out an exercise with a photo. Maybe it could be some text or whatever it might be, on some instructions. And then here I can allow different response types. So if I only want the children to record audio, I can untick all these other options. And the beauty of this as well is you can moderate the conversation. So I can click here, a bit like with Flipgrid, and you can moderate the conversation. So I now click here, start your quicker conversation. What will happen is this will now come up. And again, if I generate a QR code, so if I click on here, which is the QR code extension which I've got, and I just scan this QR code. Again, anyone can scan this right now if you want to, like this. Okay, and I then tap on the notification, and that will now allow me to record audio. So here again on the screen, I've got the microphone option. So I'm going to tap on the microphone, and I'm going to tap record. Here we go. Okay, blah, 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 blah. This is part 2 of the conversation. So in other words, this could be a way of having an asynchronous conversation with different students, or it could be a way of creating a presentation and then the teacher giving audio feedback to the students. Okay, then we click stop, it uploads. There we are. And now you can see that that's now appeared here. Let me just get rid of the QR code. So I would love someone to record something for me right now. If I click here and give you the link, I don't know if I can. How do I input the? Can I put that in the chat?
No, I don't. It doesn't work with the chat directly.
Okay, no problem. But I would love someone to scan that. Let me just bring it up again. If someone wants to scan that QR code and they can record the audio, because what will happen is it will say approve or delete. So in other words, because I'm signed in with the same account, that's why I haven't got the approve or delete option that comes up. But if someone were to scan that right now, I would love someone to do it live if you're happy to do that. If you scan the QR code, it means that, and you record something, it means that it will appear on the screen, but it will say approve or delete. And that's because I've turned on moderation. So in other words, you can do that, really, really easily. You could share that link in a breakout room or as part of Teams or Classroom, get all the children to record their audio, and it goes all to the same place. The other thing you can do as well, if you want to keep the audio permanently, you can right-click any of the players and click Save Audio As to download the audio as well. I think everyone's being a bit shy right now, but...
well, remember that we have kind of like we're a little bit delayed, so I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. Another thing I could... let me think. Yeah, no, okay. That's... brilliant. So we got an example. We got an example. So I can now press play and have a listen.
Recording audio from Bradford, England.
Amazing. So that's fantastic. So I think that's totally appropriate. So I'm going to click approve. Yeah, and now it's appeared. Can you see? And now we've got another one. That's 10 seconds long. Let's have a listen to this one. To the same place. The other thing you could do as well, if you want to keep the audio permanently, you can right-click any of the players and click... Someone's being shy, so I just click approve. But you get the idea. So that's how you moderate. Let's have a listen to this one. Again, you're being very shy. It's fine. I click approve. So I love the way you can do this remotely. I'm just showing how it can be done.
Right now sharing the screen, people were able to respond, and we were actually to have a conversation. Even right now, we were to just ask the question about language teaching, then people will be able to respond and give some feedback and questions. That's amazing.
Exactly. And I actually use, because I do a podcast as well with Senor G or Noah Geisel, who I'm sure a lot of you know, Senor G on Twitter. And I did a test with QWIQR whereby I asked people to describe what life was like under lockdown. And lots of people recorded 1-minute bits of audio, which I'm going to put in a future episode of the podcast. If you haven't heard of it, it's the mfltwitterartypodcast.com is the website, and there's 10 episodes there, and we're planning on doing some more soon. Now, the other lovely feature here is you can click on the padlock option, and that now locks the conversation, which means no one else can send can send a recording. So I'm going to do that right now. So I've locked the conversation, and I click lock conversation here, and that's it. That's it. Perfect. So that's how QWIQR conversations work, and it's really nice, I think. So I appreciate we're sort of running out of time here, but I'll just finish off.
It's a great tool for interpersonal.
Yeah.
There are some variations to interpersonal, but we got to work with what we have. So this is a great alternative. We do have a question that was asked earlier.
Okay. Yeah.
It was about Vocaroo, and she was asking, it's my friend Michelle. So she was asking, if a student records with Vocaroo, does it keep the recording on their iPad?
No, it doesn't. So everything is saved on the web, but it's all private, and then you can then either delete the recording or you can download the recording as well. So it used to be that Vocaroo didn't work on iPads, but they updated it recently, and now it's using HTML5, which means it works on all devices. So it's really nice from that point of view.
Yeah, because she's saying, I was wondering if I can use Vocaroo for an assessment, but I don't want students to be able to share their recordings with future blogs. So
right, there's not a way around that. The only way, so what Vocaroo is great for is it's easy to record and share. If you don't want them to be able to share, what I would do is let me have a think. You'd have to get them, probably an easy way of doing it is to use some sort of app like Voice Record Pro, which works on iOS and on Android, record the audio and then upload it straight to Google Drive, and then share that folder with the teacher, or use something like Flipgrid, whereby or QWIQR, when you're recording it live within the presentation, or within the group, as it were. And then it goes straight there, so you can't share it otherwise. That would be what I would say. I wouldn't use Vocaroo for that if you're concerned about sharing it, because it's supposed to be easy to share. That's the whole point of Vocaroo, really. So I'd use a different tool for that. Okay, just talking of speaking and listening ideas, during lockdown, I decided to essentially write all the ideas I had around speaking and listening skills, which took me about 2 days to write. It. This was in April of this year, so I put this again on the Facebook group, but because it was changed from public to private, it means you can't get access to the article unless you sign up to Facebook. So I then put it together into a Google Doc, which is available at the bottom here. So you've got the whole article in the Google Doc as well for your reading pleasure. And I've just talked about this. I'm not going to demonstrate this live, but Quizizz is similar to Kahoot if you haven't seen it before. But what I particularly like about it is the audio recording feature. And again, here I've got examples of how teachers are using it. So you've got, for example, Karine here talking about using it for retrieval practice, King Zeely talking about using it for self-assessment. Quite a nice idea if you're into Bitmojis. You can create your own memes in Quizizz, and that could be a Bitmoji saying, well done, or you can do it, or what have you. And yeah, that's fantastic. And then in the next
I have
slide,
used Quizizz, and I absolutely love it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Have you used the audio recording option in Quizizz?
Yes. So the audio, yes, I have. And I guess I use other I had already used other tools for audio, so I don't use it as much, but it works just as great. So yeah.
So in this on this slide, it just tells you how to record audio for the different questions, so you can create listening comprehension as audio files, which I think is awesome within Quizizz. So it has all the features of Quizizz, but you can now add audio. So if we had longer, I would do it live, but it's fine. Just give people a flavor of how to do that. So if you have a look at those articles, it explains.
And I think it's amazing. Like I was telling you earlier, Joe, sometimes it's good to spend a good chunk of time on tech, but sometimes we just need an overview just to see, I haven't tried that one. I haven't tried that one. Peruse on it later so that I can, because, it's like the question Michelle was asking about Vocaroo. Well, maybe that's not the tool for her, but she can use Vocaroo for something else, but for assessment, find something else. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, and I appreciate with sort of cognitive overload, there's only so much people can take in within, say, an hour or so. So I'm just going to play you a little video if it's okay. So this presentation is all about, you know, pedagogical paradigm shift. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a little video of tweets which people put together based on the question, do you feel as if you've experienced a pedagogical shift, paradigm shift during lockdown? So I'm just going to play this for you now, if that's okay. It's only a couple of minutes long. And just to give you like a UK perspective of how we're dealing with lockdown or how we've dealt with lockdown. Here we go. And there we are. So thank you ever so much for listening. This is my last little bit, which is my dancing Bitmoji, which I used. I created using screen recording in Google Slides. So I just took my different Bitmojis, put them into Google Slides. I then flipped them. I duplicated the slide, flipped them using the rotate option, and then screen recorded the results on my iPad and made it into a GIF using an app called IMG PLAY, and that's how you can make your Bitmoji dance. And just a thought, if you would like some extra help on remote teaching, that's another GIF that I made in Keynote and Image Play. Then I've got a number of different example sessions here. If you're interested, you've got the QR code there as well. I would be delighted to help. I'd be delighted to do webinars for you, for your department or departments. If you get in contact with me, I've given you my contact details already. There are 18 example sessions there on everything you could possibly want around remote teaching and languages using technology. And again, I'd like to thank Bertha for this opportunity. It's been amazing. And thank you for all the feedback. And if you'd like the presentation, there it is. Feel free to scan the QR code or to use the is.gd link, which I created for you. And that's me. So I don't know if we have any other questions or anything else that we want to say, but it's been an absolute pleasure, Bertha. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
so much, Joe, for being here tonight. And you certainly did teach me several new places to go and try out, and gave me some great ideas tonight. So thank you so much. And I know that a lot of our audience tonight, it's, they were just so marveled with the Google Earth feature, and, how they can use that with Flipgrid. And then they also said wonderful things about Flippity. And I mean, I'm sure everybody's taken away different things, because we are all at different parts of this journey. And ultimately, I'm just grateful that everyone's here tonight and they have taken the time to join us. And so this is the link to your presentation. And I'm also going to add this link to a master document that a lot of people in this group have access to, where I keep all of the presentations so that people can easily find them if they don't want to be looking through the Facebook group. In 3 weeks from now, this is going to be, this presentation is going to be hard to find in the Facebook group because people post in here all the time. So we have a master document, and I'm going to be sharing the link on the comments so that if you don't have that master document yet, you can access it. And actually, if you're brand new to this group and you're listening, that master document has over 15, 20 presentations on all kinds of topics as well that we have done here on Transformation Wednesdays inside this Facebook community. So thank you so much for joining us. And I don't think there are any more questions other than a question about the slide. So I'm going to make sure, I'm sure people already got the QR code, but I'm going to make sure I go back in here and I put that link for them so that they can easily access it. And if they have any questions, again, they can contact you on Twitter, right?
Yeah. So those are my contact details. So at Joe Dale on Twitter, and then joedale@talk21.com is my email address.
And I know that some people were here from the beginning, but some people, came in later. Your YouTube channel, you said was?
Joe Dale 100. Joe Dale 100. So if you just do a search for Joe Dale 100 on YouTube, and then you'll find it. I've shared the link already in the presentation, but you'll find it there. In this presentation that I've shared with everyone as well, on the slide which talks about Tilt webinars, there's 3 links at the bottom. One of them is my YouTube channel, so you can then find it. All those hours and hours and hours of webinars are all there, available completely for free.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for putting that together, linking all the resources. It certainly helped us because God knows time is something we have very little of these days. So.
Yeah, of course. Well, that's why I wanted to reach out, because I know that we've done all this work in the UK, and I think that we just want to share it with everyone. And we really feel for world language educators in the US, particularly if you're feeling very worried about using technology, if you're not used to using it, then we want to share all those webinars that be provided by specialist language teachers, because that's what it's all about. It's all about helping and supporting the community.
I am so excited, that you are in another part of the world, and your teachers are experiencing different things, and that's why we teach world language classes. To have that broadened vision, and to connect with people from other places, because they have different ways of doing things, or maybe we're more similar than we think. So just making those discoveries. So I think this is great. Thank you so much for being here. And we are going to go ahead and say goodbye to everybody. So thank you so much for being here, guys.